What up, my Pineys? This is Tony D in the Piney Podcast, here to talk to you about what else? The Pineys, book number 4. I wanted to have a chat about the Pineys books. I haven't chatted about it in a while. The Pineys number 4 takes place after the events of 1 to 3. It's pretty much a standalone, as all the Pineys books are. But you know, if you read them in order, you get more out of it. There are little mentions of things that happened in the previous books, and it ties into things I started dropping into the story earlier on. So, Pineys number 4 is subtitled "Feud of the Pineys," and it's about a family feud, not the game show, but an actual feud, kind of like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Only it's the family, the Galloways, who are the main characters in the Pineys, and the Usteds, who live in the next village over, who are even more cursed than the Galloways. The Galloways are sort of cursed, for those of you who don't know the premise of the book. The premise of the book is that in 1732, Mother Leeds, the mother of the Jersey Devil, who was a witch, opened the portals to hell in the New Jersey Pine Barrens, and let loose hundreds of devils into the Pine Barrens, and the neighboring villagers of Abes Hat formed a secret hunting society to fight the deer, as they call it. It's a secret society, so they don't call them devils, to send them back to hell. And over the years, they've developed various ways to fight them. And so that's the premise of the book. And the Galloways are sort of cursed, but they're sort of very capable and friendly, and they have resources. They're not dirt poor, although they live in the Pine Barrens. The Usteds, however, are kind of like more hillbilly, right? They're all broke, and a lot of them don't have jobs, and they've got half destroyed autos on the front yards, and the streets. They live in a village called West Pasadena. Now, the Galloways live in Abes Hat. Now, I named Abes Hat after a famous town in South Jersey, which you may or may not have heard of, called Ong's Hat. And the legend has it that when Ong, that was the name of the guy, somebody asked him, well, where are we going to build our village? And he took his hat in the air and he threw it, and it landed in a tree, and he said, over there. So it's got a similar origin story. And then West Pasadena is named after the famous, again, another South Jersey town called Pasadena, which supposedly was this town that you can't find on any map, and it's full of all these freaky Pineys who kidnap you and use you as breeding stock for the next generation of Pineys who live there. But that's not the way it is in the story. West Pasadena is just a normal town in the Pine Barrens. It's just that everybody's poor, and all they got is really a liquor store and a bar. So the story centers around their feud, which we've sort of dropped hints in the books. And the main character of the Usteds is Gary Usted, who Hemingway, our main character in the Pineys, World's Greatest Hunter, has been having a rivalry with since they were little kids. So we mentioned them in the 3rd grade. Hemingway keeps calling him a dick, and it's a lot of fun. So now we get to see more of their rivalry and why they kind of hate each other. And I base some of this on people that I know who do a lot of traveling tell me, or at least told me back in the day, that if you go to a place, say like Mexico, in a more rural area, you still have a lot of small towns and villages that aren't very connected, and there's like a small town rivalry, right? The people in the next village kind of hate the people in the other village. Not like hate enough that they kill each other or anything like that, but they just those people are jerks. We're way better than them, kind of rivalry. So I sort of based it a little bit on that, a little bit on the whole idea that they're cursed. And the Usteds, as it turns out, are cursed even worse than the Galloways, for reasons which I don't want to give away because that's a big reveal in the book. But and that sort of ties into the story. And then the big change in the story is Gallo, Hemingway, is of course the world's greatest hunter. He's also incredibly lucky, and he just has things just work out for Hemingway. He's just one of those characters, and suddenly everything starts to go wrong for him, and everything starts to go right for Gary, who in previous years everything went wrong for him. So it's this weird switch over, and there's reasons why in the story, and we reveal why that happened and why it may or may not be a good thing. We've also got some romances brewing between some of the Galloways and the Oosteds. Again, I don't want to give away that, but that's a lot of fun. And and of course Lewis, who is sort of the character we see things through, because he's sort of the fish out of the water, right? So in the first book, Lewis just arrives in town, and he comes into Abes Hat for the first time, and he's sort of been stuck there ever since. But you'll see things through his eyes, and then things kind of change for him a little bit in this story as well. So that's about all I could tell you without giving away the story. I don't want to give away the story. It's about, according to the Amazon ebook spacing, it's 124 pages. On a computer, in Word, it was about 82, I think. So I don't know, it repaginates it a little bit and splits up the chapters or whatnot. But it's a lot of fun. I think it has a really, really strong ending, lots of action, as always. I like to have a lot of action in my stories, and a lot of comedy. And a big turnaround at the end, which and you see the characters grow. I think you see Hemingway in particular does a lot of growing in this story, and I already have 5 completed. 6 I got a draft done of Piney 6, but I'm about 7 pages short. I need at least 80 pages to make it qualify technically as a novella. So I got to go back, and I'm not done the final draft of that, but the first draft's basically done. And then after that, I got to think of some new stories, but there's always plenty to do in the Pine Barrens. So thank you for listening, and I hope you'll check out my books. The links are in the description, and we'll see you next time, Pineys.